Om Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. I go to seek refuge in the Buddha. Today, in the 11th series of this mantra yoga, we're going to look at an extremely important aspect of Japa yoga, a mantra yoga. The idea is, how can we use the mantra more effectively in a mind that has thoughts and thoughts and thoughts? What's the difference between a dead brain and a alive brain? Thoughts. That's what. So the brain is constantly humming with activity. Sensations come from outside, and they are not few. Sensations or stimuli or vibrations, they come from outside and through the senses, the five senses, taste, touch, sight, smell, and everything, and they come inside, and then the motor organs, the motor nerves are also activated, as well as the vast banks of memories. Now you can imagine there's a tremendous sense of activity. There are thousands and thousands of thoughts. It's not only thousands of thoughts. There are thoughts, there are feelings, there are imaginations, there are memories, there is a willing. All these things are, cluttering in our mind. It's amazingly chaotic. There is a madness there. But there is a method to that madness. What is that method? No one has yet understood. So when we see, you cannot see thoughts. But then through these scanning machines that we have, you can understand that there are neurons, and there are more than 80 billion neurons and billions and trillions of connections. It's not so simple as it seems. These neurons are coming inside, growing, getting new connections, snapping old connections. As sensations come inside, there is a cascade. What is the cascade? One neuron fires. It's a chemical firing through something called the neurotransmitters. And this one neuron fires tens and hundreds and thousands. There's a huge cascade. In every second, the brain is humming with activity. This is the default mode of the mind. It is an amazing place. We are not aware of it. And every firing of the neuron means a thought. Now you might ask, why can't we know? Why can't we be aware of all the thoughts? And that is because most of our thoughts are subconscious. See? So we have the huge, you can say, subconsciousness down there. And on the surface, we find a kind of an iceberg, at the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg is nothing but a thought, but below it are the huge chunks of ice. It's a huge place. Now, every thought gives rise, in according to the philosophy of yoga, every thought gives rise to a series of thoughts. No thought lives and dies in isolation. It's never in a vacuum. There's a huge network of neurons in the brain, and we do not know the connections which are immense, mind-boggling, and they are all active and firing. So we are not aware of many thoughts because most of the thoughts are subconscious. Second is, one thought gives rise to a series of thoughts, not only one series of thoughts. Suppose I say chocolate, a series of other associated thoughts will also arise. Not only one series, you have multiple series, and then it goes down. Suppose I had it in downtown, and then there's a hotel there. I went to the hotel, and there, it spreads out. Thoughts spread out. So sensations are coming from outside, and the brain is reacting. The brain can't handle the load, so it takes only a small slice of what comes in to protect the body and help it survive. That is the task only, to know where the body is in space and in time. There are some people who think, oh, when we sleep, everything is shut off. No, the external sensations have been shut off, but the memories are all there. They come out in dreams. Okay, that is. But how do we know there are so many? There are 2 or 3 things. There are minds that are very restless. Kshipta. The number of thoughts in your mind will obviously be large. There are minds which are vikshipta, alternately calm and alternately, you can say, restless. Then it depends on the state of your mind. Then also it depends on the external environment. If you are going in a place where there is excessive stimulus from outside, there are going to be excessive thoughts. The mind does not want to stay still. If it does, if there's a reduction in stimulus, what happens is you get bored. And nowadays we have these cell phones, smartphones, where you're making use of it everywhere. The moment there's a sensation is reduced, you get bored, you become listless, you become drowsy, and you want something more to come in. So we are constantly kicking up activities, and the activities are kicking us. It's a loop that has been formed. It's a terrible place. But like I said, there is a method for that madness, that chaos that goes there. Now you'll say, how many thoughts are there? Now, there is a differing opinions about. There are some studies that say there are between 50,000 to 60,000 thoughts in a day. My God! Well, it could be more, it could be less also. There are some studies that say there are over 6,000 thoughts in a day. What is a thought? A thought is something that comes in your consciousness, a feeling and anything. It has a very small window, a 3-second or 2.5-second window. A thought comes, that's a kind of a cognition, yes. But this is only on the level of the conscious mind. There are those huge networks down there. When we are talking of Japa, when we sit down to do mantra repetition, what happens is thousands of thoughts crowd, and they are all wanting attention, they all want space. So what do? It's extremely difficult to do japa in a mind that is chaotic. It is also found with intense focus or attention. There is a reduction of thoughts because there is a focus or a concentration on a particular thought or a particular task. This is the most important part of the mantra japa. That's why we have been trying to emphasize that don't do things mechanically. This mechanical japa has its uses, but if you want to make the mantra extremely effective, you've got to be extremely focused, because you're going to act as that bulwark against thousands of thoughts. So people have been saying there are thousands and 60,000, 50,000, 10,000, 20,000. My God, what's that? I would put it even more than 50 or 60,000, or maybe 100,000 thoughts a day. God, aren't we going crazy? Yes, we are going crazy. So this is our enemy. Now, how do we beat the enemy? You don't have to beat the enemy. The enemy is too strong, extremely strong. But the Bhagavad Gita says, Atmaiva Atmana Bandhu Atmaiva Ripur Atmane. The mind is a friend of one, and also the mind is a foe of one, an enemy of one. So here you have a slight kind of opening where you can explore. Your very thoughts are your very enemies, and those very thoughts can also be your friend, and that is what we are going to use. So how do we focus? Okay, now let's put it like that. When we focus, there's a reduction of thoughts, or there is a kind of the thoughts move away to the periphery. When you're focused here, it's like, you remember how we water the roots and the water reaches up, right up from the stem and the branches and all this whole place, the leaves. You understand? So here it is, the seed goes in, the plant comes out and everything. So what we are trying to do is a simple technique. Water the roots, and from there, what emerges out, that water reaches up to the highest places. So we put a seed inside, there it is. And then we water it with repetition, and then emerges the plant. But is that sufficient? Yes, it is sufficient. You go down to the very basis with your focus, and then that mantra and the power of the mantra will spread out like a network right through all those neurons and everywhere, and they will fire in unison. Let me get this right. The mantra, suppose for our talk here and for our practical purposes, you have 1,000 thoughts per hour. Okay. Suppose you have 10,000 or whatever, or let's make it even 50,000. It doesn't matter. What we are trying to do is this huge network of thoughts which are there. If we can just slowly put a seed in that particular place, that seed will spread out through this networks and reach out through this whole, you can say, system of thoughts which are there. This is the principle. So one mantra is now being repeated by the brain or by the mind 1,000 times or 10,000 times or 50,000 times. You are now using the power of the brain itself to do the repetition. It's as simple as that. So that enemy of yours, which was all these thousands and thousands of thoughts, has now become actually your greatest friend. You plant one seed in the mind deeply through focus, and that emerges out into thousands and thousands and thousands of channels, through the thousands of networks, through the thousands of thoughts. Your whole brain is now doing Japa. Not only your whole brain, the brain has sensory and motor neurons, so that mantra down floods the whole body. And this is what happens to a person who does Japa. Now you may ask, but we know that no thoughts are, you can say, similar. They oscillate at different frequencies. You know what oscillation is? Yeah, this. So what we do is, you've seen a metronome. The metronome is oscillating on different frequencies. Here you can see it. But there's something called a synchronicity. You see, slowly they will synchronize. That which was oscillating differently now oscillate on the same frequency. This is a tremendous law of nature. Here you have unsynchronized, you can say, metronomes, and slowly you see how they will now synchronize. There it is. This is the method. You use the laws of physics also, you use the laws of nature to help you. So what happens is, Swami Vivekananda also gives another example. Suppose there are musical instruments tuned alike in a room. You go and strike one musical instrument, all the musical instruments will vibrate on that same key. Have you tried it? You try it out. So there is chaos everywhere, outside and whether inside. Like I said, but there is a method for this chaos. There is also, within the chaos, there is something called the laws of synchronization. Things which are close together, you synchronize with them. They may be unsynchronized. That's why now we say, let's sync together things. Let's sync a computer with a smartphone. Let's sync. Yeah, then you are synced with your computer, and then you are synced with your smartphone, and you are synced with everything. So you are in synchronicity. You are synchronized. When things are close by, they synchronize. They vibrate on the same thing. So the metronomes that you saw are not synchronized, and slowly the laws of nature take over and they start synchronizing. So you can see it one more time to get it fixed in your mind. How things synchronize. They are not synchronized now, and slowly they will, as you keep on looking at it. This is the way. This is the only way for spiritual life. There is no other way. When your mantra has synchronized with the thousands and thousands and thousands of thoughts. Now, if you have 1,000 thoughts, 50,000 thoughts, 60,000 thoughts, more and more power to us. More welcome. That which was a hindrance, an enemy, an obstacle, now has become your best friend. So what we need here is only pinpointed focus. With the mantra, you start. It's like you turn the ignition key, and then the whole thing starts, the motor starts, okay? And that is what, that is that spark, that focus, that attention, that concentration is that key that starts the whole thing. And as you keep on repeating it with focus, all the thoughts will now synchronize. What do you mean all the thoughts? No other thoughts. The only thought will be the mantra. The mantra, as it were, which has one has become thousands, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. Let it be. So your brain cannot rest without thoughts. Yeah, otherwise it dies. So now this same mechanism of the brain is now alive with the repetition of the mantra. If you can do it even for a little time, it will grow on you. It will grow on you. This is what is called the repetition of the mantra. This is called mantra yoga. You attain the highest levels of spirituality. Your body, which was an obstacle, does not remain an obstacle. Your memories, which are a bigger obstacle, now no longer remain a memory, no longer become an obstacle. What else is there? All the sensations that are coming in, the senses are functioning, the mind is functioning, which is an obstacle when you try to sit down. That also, if there's a reduction of thoughts, you fall asleep. But now there's no reduction of the mantra thoughts. You don't fall asleep. That also obstacle is eliminated. So one by one, the obstacles are eliminated, and you feel that mantra now. You will feel you will feel the mantra vibrating in your whole body. Yes, it's not only vibrating in your whole body. The place where you sit will also vibrate with that mantra. Whatever you touch will also vibrate with that mantra. There have been monks of our order who have attained this state, who have felt that everything in the room is vibrating with the mantra. And their bodies included. It's a tremendous state. It's a superlative, excellent state of mantra yoga. As we keep on doing with devotion, we will come to that stage. So for today's practice, let us have a simple mantra. We will invoke the Buddha, and we'll have Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. So Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. I go to seek refuge in the Buddha. Now look at the picture of Buddha. Look at the words out there. Buddham, Buddha, Sharanam, refuge, or go for surrender. Gacchami is I go. I go for refuge. I go to surrender to the Buddha. It has been a very powerful part of the mantra, which has, as we know, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangam Sharanam. So we'll just take the first part of that mantra. It has been there, it's been repeated for thousands and more than 2,000 years. People have been repeating this. Millions and millions of people have repeated this. It gives an impetus to your chanting. We will chant it first audibly, and then we will chant it silently. While we are chanting it audibly, you keep our eyes open and watch the picture, gaze at the picture of Buddha. This is what? Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam gacchami, buddham sharanam gacchami. Now silently repeat it. Now close your eyes and repeat it while visualizing the picture of Buddha. Open your eyes once again, please. Gaze at the picture of Buddha and audibly repeat Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Now inaudibly keep your eyes open and gaze at the picture. Now close your eyes and visualize it in your mind's eye while repeating it inaudibly. Plunge into this repetition. Focus. It needs one to be attentive. Plunge in the visual image of Buddha. Plunge into that repetition of the Buddha's name. Let everything else go. Just plunge in. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Now for questions, if there are. Okay, there are a lot of thank yous here. Thank you all for joining us here. Pranams and pranams. Okay. We have a question. As a law of karma suggests a person has to suffer the consequences of his action, how can a person steer through a phase of suffering or difficult phase in life caused by his own past actions? Oh, we've been reiterating this over and over again. Swami Vivekananda, Holy Mother, Shri Ramakrishna also has said that where you're going to get a wound, a deep wound with a plowshare, a pinprick, you might escape with a pinprick. That's because of the power of Japa, the power of repeating God's name cancels, attenuates, cuts through past karma. So here you have whatever you have done. Why do you think of what you have done? Why do you worry yourself about what you have done? You stress yourself. Whatever is done has been done. Now what do I have in my mind, in my present moment? The name of God. Use that to elevate yourself. Okay. Can repetition of mantra reduce the effect of past bad karma, I've just mentioned it. Yes, it does. How to overcome past painful thoughts which make present tensed and panic? Well, I told you, the brain will constantly think. That is its nature. Okay. Imagine if you don't want any thoughts, part of your brain might die. Okay. So cognitions, thoughts, feelings, memories, all these are all in the mind, in the brain. Now, how do you remove them? Well, suppose you start tomorrow eating bad, stale, rancid food. What happens to you? You're going to fall sick. And then you switch your diet, you eat nice, fresh fruits, and you can say nice things. The diet becomes good. What happens? You change your health. You change it for the better. Similarly with thoughts. Change your thoughts and you'll find the old things being reduced and slowly disappearing. These bad thoughts, if you keep on thinking, think of good thoughts, and then automatically, it is a process. You must follow a process. Simply wishing, I wish my bad thoughts will go, that won't do. You will have to put in a little effort. Change your diet, your mental diet, see good things, switch off the television. If you're sitting in front of the television the whole day, and then you think my mind is restless, how can I control it? It's not going to happen. So that's what. So come out of your shell, go out, help people, take the name of God, and this will reduce all negative things. So this is the way. Should we recite Japa quietly in the mind or out loud at specific dedicated times of the day? If you are initiated in a mantra by a guru, you've got to repeat it quietly. No one else but you are the repository of the secret knowledge that you have. So when your mind is extremely restless or you want to calm the mind, if there is no one around, do it semi-audibly. And we have in a previous, you can say, series, have dealt with this. You can write it down. There is a kind of semi-audible recitation. There's an audible recitation. There's a silent recitation, etc., etc. So it should be silent. What is silent is powerful. So to get into the silent mode, if there is no one around, you can do it semi-audibly. Then, as we have done today, close your eyes, do it silently, and plunge inside. At dedicated times of the day, yes, if it's not a kind of a mantra, the mantra has to have a dedicated time of the day for repetition. That will become part of your biological clock, your rhythm, as a circadian rhythm. So morning and evening is a good time. But with this present, you can say, busy society, try to make time. But if you can keep more or less a specific time every day, make it into a kind of a routine, it becomes easier. The mind will want to do japa at that particular time. It becomes a habit. No, we are creatures of habit. So that's what we can. And if you are doing a mantra which is not your japa mantra or your sacred mantra, you can repeat any mantra loudly. So Narayana, Narayana, or any kind of thing. So while meditation, I feel the Ishta has replaced my body sitting in my place and my body is prostrating in front of the Ishta. Is it okay? I used to feel the Ishta in my heart before, but no more. Oh, Subramaniam. That's a very good. That's a good, very, very good. It's a tremendously devotional, you can say, feeling you also have now with your repetition of the mantra. So, Ishta has replaced my body. Ishta does not replace your body. The Ishta is in the heart, the cave of the heart. And so I would check myself if this is not just pure imagination. This is very important. You may be imagining things and taking it for real. So what you would need to do is keep a close attention to your sense of self here. As you meditate, keep a very close grip on the sense of self. And as you keep on meditating, try to then see if it is an imagination or is in reality. If it's real, nothing like it. But what happens is you are sitting here, you cannot be going out there and the Ishta coming here. Okay. There is something called, we have dealt it in some of our previous classes on meditation. There's something called a flipping of consciousness. Consciousness flips. The subject becomes the object and the object becomes the subject. I would like you to go to those earlier, you can say, videos on meditation skills for meditators. You will get the answer there, where the subject becomes the object and the object becomes the subject. God, who was the object, then becomes the subject, and you, who were the subject, then become the object. But I want you to go through that correctly, flipping of consciousness, and see if your experience is authentic. That is important. We don't want an experience that is imaginary, because if it is happening like that, it will completely transform your entire life. Your life will not be the same. You will not be able to do the things that you are doing before. It has revolutionized, it will revolutionize your life. Okay. So much for, thank you very much for all pranams and thank yous and appreciation. We will see each other next Saturday, same time, Pacific time, 10 a.m. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.